we're in a results-driven business. We know that. So you got a 2-6-1 record. The record's the record. There are some secondary numbers that would indicate, like expected goals for 5-on-5, you're number one in the entire league. Like you're up there with the Carolinas of the world, teams that statistically have been analytic starlings. How do you kind of weigh not getting the W's versus the fact that you're certainly doing some good things?
Well, you're right. Your first statement was right. We're in a results-driven business. So we're sitting at 2-6-1. That's a fact. And in the coach's room and in the dressing room, we have an ability to face the facts. While at the same time, we understand that we feel we've played better than our record shows. Those statistics might point to that. But in the end, our record is our record. And for us, you can't make it all up in one go round. You got to attack it one game at a time, one period at a time, one shift at a time. And the big thing, we talk a lot about with our players is that we get to choose our attitude. Our attitude is our decision. We're under the understanding that last year we had a tough segment. We went 3-7 from games 11 to 20 last year. Still found a way to win 50 hockey games. I think there has been some good in our first 9 games here. Record's not where we want it to be, but we're methodical and serious and professional about choosing our attitude and making sure that we're attacking the things that need to get attacked.
All right, now some housekeeping. Janmark and Brown weren't there. Has been sent to the minors. Obviously, you have to call a forward up if those two guys can't play.
Yep.
You made the decision as to who's coming up.
Yep. The decision's been made. I'll let the PR department put all that stuff out, or Ken put that out. But obviously, we're carrying 12 forwards on the year when Janmark's been out for the last couple of games and certainly losing Brown last night, going down to 10 forwards. You want to make sure you're in a position to be able to at least dress 11 forwards, and that's a big factor in putting Phillip down to Bakersfield, is that it allows us to call somebody up. And for Phillip, it's also represents a good opportunity to play some big minutes, get his game, and get his confidence going again.
You mentioned Phillip. What does he have to do better? I mean, obviously, when you dress 70, you're trying to, play your 6 and 7, not the same amount of minutes sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? I think, that's a tough situation, and he doesn't get to control the fact that we've gone 11-7. We've gone 11-7 a lot this year, not by choice, but by necessity. But for me, when it comes to Phillip's game, I see someone who can play with a little bit more assertiveness, a little bit more authoritative in battles, somebody who, can snap pucks, someone who can use his legs to escape trouble. I think he's done that in spurts this year, but not long enough to warrant taking somebody's ice time away from them. And that doesn't mean that our team has been wonderful. Our record would say that. But for me, when you're competing to take somebody's job in the National Hockey League, you have to show, and you got to show it day in, day out. But again, this opportunity for him to go to Bakersfield is an opportunity to play a lot, to regain some of that confidence. And, it helps us meet a roster need of dressing at least 11 forwards.
But you're still going to have to play a player short.
Yep.
All right, so how does that, as a coach?
I think it's less than ideal, but as I've said numerous times in this room, I worry about the stuff within my control, not with what's out of my control. So losing a couple forwards, the cap situation with where it's at, all that kind of stuff, that's not within my control. I'm trying to get the most of the people that are in front of me.
And just one more. So Brown and Janmark are basically still on IR. Neither one's been put.
Yeah, neither one are on long-term IR. So the hope is that they're more day-to-day than, longer, where they would, could open up another roster spot.
Okay, thank you.
Jay, when you have that many shots, I think it wound up at 49 or 50, and either a team record or one short of a team record in the third. Is that confidence building that you were around the net that much, or is there the danger of more frustration seeping in because some of the chances didn't wind up over the line?
I think there were positives in our game. And that was one of them, was that we were around the net. We had numerous scoring chances. We had the ability to win that game. I think when your record's where it's at, you're kind of into it up to your knees. You know what I mean? Like you're into it. You're up to your knees. And when you're in that kind of situation, sometimes you hit the crossbar 3 times and it goes over the net, not into the net. Sometimes you get 50 shots on net, 99 shot attempts, and you don't win the game. You look at the other team, they're feeling it. They're in a groove. They gave up, I think, 50 shots 2 nights in a row, but found a way to win those games. They counterpunched their way to a win. I think when you're in the groove, those things turn your way. When you're not in the groove and when you're into it up to your knees and your record's where it's at and it feels the way it feels, that doesn't fall for you. But I know this, and this is from my experience, is that there is only one way forward, which is you got to work your way out of that. You have to earn your way out of that. And then pretty soon you see it drop the other way, where that shot off the crossbar does go in, where those 50 shots do convert to 5 or 6 goals for. But for me, when you're in the situation that we're in, where I steer our focus is to the fact that in our 2 wins this season, we've given up 2 or less goals. That's a fact. I said earlier, we have the ability to face facts here. So for us as a group, it's eliminating some of those moments, those large errors that have led to us not closing out some games we feel we were the better team in. That has nothing to do with the offensive side. Sure, we have to convert offensively. We will. The power play will. Our shooters will. But I think we have to take care of the other side of it. And when we do that and we have that mindset, pretty soon you find yourself in that groove that I was talking about.
You came in this season with designs on cutting down goals against.
Yep.
Facts are what they are. You're four per game here, 30th in the league. How big is the fix here, Jay, defensively? Because the statistics would say it's a pretty heavy lift from where you're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get hung up on the numbers when they're positive, like Bob had just mentioned, and I don't get overly hung up on the numbers when they're not positive. I think what we're focused on is the all-consuming pursuit of the next solution. So that's a big part of it. For me, I just, as I was talking to Reed there, talked about the game last night, I thought we made some critical errors at tough times, a pinch that we'd like to have back. Line change, turnover, that certainly has to be put deep. Those are at critical moments of the game. Those types of things, I think, can get cleaned up. I also think those are the types of things you see a lot of in the first 10 to 15 games of a season while a team is figuring some things out. So while you go to the negative, I go to it's an opportunity for us to work on something here. It has been 9 games here. It has been. As I said earlier, it has been a tough stretch. We're into it up to our knees. We're 2-6-1. We have the opportunity to go 3-6-1. Last year we had a segment that was 3-7. It's a tough segment, but you got to work your way out of it.
And I don't think I'm purposely choosing negative.
Oh, yeah, no, that's all right. No, no,
The system that you wanted to use to try and make those improvements, is it still the system that you believe can work and are grinding through, or clearly there's been some adjustment along the way here. So what's the journey been like systems-wise to try and get better results?
Well, I think in the last 2 games, we've given up 6 goals. 2 or 3 of them have been on the power play, and 3 have been off the rush. That's how I would look at that. I think in the last 2 games, we've scored 8 goals. To me, scoring 8 goals over 2 games is enough to win both of them. We scored 3 goals yesterday. In my opinion, that's enough to win a hockey game. There are moments that have to get cleaned up. There are moments where we can be better. I think if you looked at the chances in the game last night, we had the bulk of them. We had the better ones, but we found a way to create a big error. That's beating ourselves in that situation. That can get cleaned up. But when you look at the types of goals that we gave up 3 on the penalty kill and 3 off the rush.
Last one for me.
Yep.
Well, the individual mistakes that need to get cleaned up, and it's been a theme this year.
Yep.
How do you clean these up? What's the accountability? What's the mechanism as a coach you have that the players don't play afraid to make mistakes, but also there's this level of accountability that these mistakes, when they happen, don't continue?
Well, it's tough. It's tough when you're going, let's say, for example, up front, you got 11 forwards and one gets hurt. I mean, you have to put some people out the door every time. That's a fact. In terms of being able to move people around the lineup, we've changed pairs. On the back end, we've changed lines up front. Accountability happens in that room over there, which is probably the most important form of accountability is we believe in being honest, direct, straightforward about what has happened and what needs to happen. In the end, we have the people that can get it done. You heard me say the other day, outdoors, this team's won 100 games. It's gone to 5 playoff rounds in the last 2 years. We have had tough times in those times. We're going through one right now. I think the way you come through it, as I said, is through work. It's through working together as a team, and it's about sticking together. That's what I think.
Hey, Jay.
Hi.
I want to ask you about Sam Gagner. He's
Yep.
kind of beloved in this town. Everyone's excited to see him here for the 3rd time. And I just, the shot of energy that he gave your team, I guess, coming up, can you just maybe give me a thought on him and what he's able to provide for your team?
Yeah, well, he's a professional. Somebody who's gone through different phases of his career. I thought he did give us a good amount of energy yesterday. Scored 2 goals in the 3rd period. I liked where and how he scored those goals. What an example for some of our younger players that haven't found some success this year. What an example that was for them. I think he's happy to be here. He wants to be part of a solution, and he's ready to work.
A guy like that, are you comfortable moving him up and down the lineup? Because
Yeah.
he was a first-line guy for a long time.
Yeah, and as you saw last night, he started on the line with McLeod and Holloway, and by the end of the game, he was playing with Kane and Nugent Hopkins. So that's something that we pride ourselves on, is making sure our eyes are open and we're aware of who's going. And he was going last night, so it was a pleasure to watch him and reward him when he was going.